Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. Today I'm going to continue my discussion about Jesse Williams, the actor who received the BET Humanitarian Award and who gave a powerful speech that everyone has been talking about for the past week. Now, in this video right here, I'm going to provide a response to a couple of people who are described as quote-unquote pro-black. A couple of people who are questioning Jesse Williams' sincerity, who are raising the possibility that Jesse Williams is part of some kind of conspiracy to lead black people astray. I want to address some of the arguments that they made in those videos. So the people that I'm addressing is Irritated Genie and also the radical HomeGoddess. The first part of this video I'm going to spend responding to Irritated Genie, and then the end, I'll spend some time responding to some of the assertions that the radical HomeGoddess made in her video. I will include links to both of those videos in the description box so that you can watch them for yourself and judge them for yourself. So the Irritated Genie had a 3-hour plus broadcast entitled The Rise of the Mullatos. As I said before, I will include a link to that video so you can watch it for yourself. I didn't watch the whole broadcast because I don't have 3 hours to waste watching, illogical arguments and just hatred. I don't have that kind of time to devote to that nonsense. So I watched a portion of his video, about 30 minutes of his video, beginning around the 1 hour mark. And in that section, he was talking about Jesse Williams' speech. He played Jesse Williams' speech, and then he provided some commentary about the speech. He acknowledged, and I'm talking about Irritated Genie, he acknowledged that there was nothing that he could say about Jesse Williams' speech, nothing that he could refute or nothing that he could argue with. And he actually acknowledged that Jesse Williams did a great job verbalizing the situation, and he said that his speech was poetic. Really, the discussion should stop right there. It should. Instead of finding fault, instead of trying to look for reasons to hate on this brother, people should just stop right there and celebrate what this brother said, because it was right and exact. And even Irritated Genie acknowledges this. So instead of just promoting or celebrating this courageous black man for speaking out, Irritated Genie finds the need to question this brother, to question his sincerity. So he goes on to say, but my spirit spoke to me. He talks about his third eye being open, basically, and that he saw that there was something wrong about the situation. As far as I'm concerned, this is not about something being wrong with the situation. It seems to be about a couple of things. The first thing is jealousy. He sees this brother getting all this attention in the media. He sees this brother getting attention online. He sees the traffic and all the discussion about this brother's speech. And he just hates on it, what a lot of people do. They see somebody shining and they want to hate on them. And not only did this brother hate on Jesse Williams, he also was hating on Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors series, complaining about how Tariq Nasheed was infringing on his copyrights by using his material. So that's what it looks like to me. This is just another example of hateration. When you boil it down to its bare essence, when you get rid of all the fluff and all the distractions, that's what you have here. And that's what you have with a lot of black men, unfortunately. A lot of black men are hating on this biracial man, Jesse Williams, because he's getting all this attention and he's receiving all this praise from a lot of black women. and from black people in general. And a lot of these people, I'm sure that they're thinking, why can't I get that kind of praise? Why can't I get that kind of attention? I've said the same thing for a long time and I'm not getting that kind of praise. You know, and as he acknowledges, I mean, it shouldn't be about attention. It shouldn't be about getting praise for saying something or getting views on YouTube or getting money for saying something. It should be about the content of what is said. It should be about the importance of the message. If you agree with the message, then why not support the message? Why undermine the message with innuendo and player hateration? Now, he went on to talk about how this is an example of the rise of the mulatto class. And he basically talked about how mulattoes can't be trusted. That's essentially what he's saying, that mulattoes can't be trusted, that mulattoes aren't loyal to black people, and that for that reason, we should view him with some kind of suspicion. That's essentially what he implied. Just because someone is biracial, that doesn't mean that they are disloyal to black people or that they don't have any love for black people. The pigment of somebody's skin, you know, the darkness or the lightness of it, the fact that they have parents of both races, that alone should not form a basis for automatically distrusting that person. That is the very definition of being prejudiced. Judging someone before you even know them. That's what it is, it's prejudice. And I find it odd that one of these people were essentially criticizing this brother for being a mulatto, but yet they claim to be a follower of the Nation of Islam, an organization founded by a mulatto, according to their own teachings. According to the teachings that are in the Message to the Black Man, according to the teachings of supreme wisdom and all that kind of stuff. The very founder of the Nation of Islam, Farad Muhammad, was biracial. He had a white mother and a black father, from what I understand. Not only is he biracial, he's not even from America, according to the teachings of the Nation of Islam. They refer to this man as master. In fact, they call him God in person. So I find it really odd that someone would have such a disdain for mulattoes when they're the organization that they claim to love and support was founded by one. There are many examples of mulattoes that are dedicated to our people and to our struggle. And even Irritated Genie acknowledges that there are some mulattoes that are dedicated to our struggle. But he wants to put them through some kind of special screening simply because they are mulattoes. And that's just fundamentally wrong. Because you can't tell somebody is an agent based on the pigment of their skin. You have people that are dark as midnight who have no love for their people at all. Agents come in all complexions. Some of the biggest enemies of our people are dark-skinned people. People like Clarence Thomas, a man who has ruled constantly and written against the interests of black people deliberately. You know, the man, the agent who gave the FBI the plans, the blueprint to Fred Hampton's house. The people who, you know, this agent basically made it possible for the police to slaughter that brother in his sleep. That was a dark-skinned man, a black man. And there are plenty of other examples of dark-skinned people or even brown-skinned people who have betrayed the people. So this notion that you can tell if somebody's an agent based on them being a mulatto or so-called mulatto or biracial. It's ridiculous. It's not about somebody's complexion. It's about their character. It's about their commitment. And his brother, Jesse Williams, has proven that he is committed to his people. He's not somebody that just overnight gave a speech at an award show. He is someone who has dedicated his life to the struggle against police brutality and racism. People want to constantly talk about Black Lives Matter, but they don't want to talk about how the brother is on the board of directors of the Advancement Project, a legal civil rights organization that litigates cases in court to bring about equal rights and justice for Black people. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about all the countless statements that this brother has given, this countless time that he has donated to organizations. They don't want to talk about the money that he has actually given to organizations. These people complain about white people giving money to organizations, but many of these people haven't given a dime to any Black organization. So these people that want to criticize this brother and criticize organizations for receiving money from whites, if they haven't given money to organizations, Black organizations, then they need to shut the hell up. Now, I just want to deal with one other thing. I'm going to make several arguments, so let me not say one other thing. But one other thing that Irritated Genie said is to determine if someone is a revolutionary, you have to look at their position on homosexuality. That's what he says. You have to look at their position on homosexuality. And first of all, I think that is false. People can take positions on a wide range of issues. One issue is not determinative as to whether or not somebody is a revolutionary. Just because someone supports gay rights or gay marriage or whatever, that doesn't mean that they are counter-revolutionary. That doesn't mean that they are against their people and against the interests of Black people. Not when they have spent time fighting against racism, not when they have spent time fighting against police brutality, not when they have dedicated their life to fighting for equality and social justice in society. You can't say that they are not revolutionary simply because they support gay rights, simply because they think that people shouldn't be called fags and faggots and homos and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean that they're not a revolutionary. Because they don't support slurs. I mean, this guy, Irritated Genie, showed this clip of Jesse Williams saying that people basically shouldn't attack people for being homosexual. He showed that clip as if that alone is evidence that this brother is not a revolutionary. Nothing can be further from the truth. Somebody can support women's rights and Black liberation at the same time. Somebody can support gay rights and Black liberation at the same time. Somebody can support environmental justice and Black liberation at the same time. They can support workers' rights and Black liberation at the same time. People need to move beyond this narrow-minded mentality. And I just want to be perfectly clear. I'm not a big supporter of gay rights or the homosexual lifestyle. I don't support gay marriage. I've said that before. It's documented in blog posts that I've written years ago. My position is clear. But I'm not going to push somebody out of the struggle simply because of their position on gay rights. The last thing that we need to do as a people is to divide and conquer ourselves based on things that don't even really matter in the big scheme of things. Things that don't even matter. And if you want to say that somebody cannot be a revolutionary and support gay rights at the same time, then you don't really know what you're talking about. Because we know that Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Black Panther Party, was a revolutionary without a doubt. He wasn't somebody on YouTube hustling documentaries. He wasn't somebody on YouTube just doing videos like this video. He was somebody in the streets fighting for the people. He was someone that looked the police in the eye, faced the police gun to gun. A brother who went to jail for what he believed in. A brother who faced lifetime incarceration or even the death penalty for what he believed in. A brother that fed the poor, clothed the naked, provided health care for those who did not have the money to provide health care for themselves. He provided, the Black Panther Party provided free breakfasts for children in our community before the schools ever did. This brother's revolutionary credentials cannot be questioned. And this brother spoke out in support of gay rights back in 1970. And I'll include a link to an article about that. So you can't tell me that that brother is not a revolutionary. Judging by this guy, Irritated Genie standard, one would say, well, Huey P. Newton is not a revolutionary. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. And that's just how absurd these arguments that this man made in his whole video are. That's how absurd they are. You know, he wants to dismiss Angela Davis. And first of all, he didn't even have her name right. I mean, how is he going to claim to be so knowledgeable and he doesn't even know Angela Davis's real name? He was actually talking there. The woman that was mentioned is not the Angela Davis of the 1960s. The Angela Davis of the 1960s, her middle name is Yvonne. So the people that are in that documentary, from what I understand, you know, the woman, Angela Davis, that's in that Black Lives Matter documentary is somebody completely different from Angela Davis of the 60s. Angela Davis was a revolutionary and is a revolutionary today. She has fought for radical change in this society. She has fought against the elites, against this capitalist, racist system for decades. The fact that she supports gay rights is irrelevant. The fact that, you know, she's allegedly a homosexual or a lesbian or whatever is irrelevant. That's her personal conduct. That has no bearing on her commitment to the people. You have people like James Baldwin, one of the greatest authors in American history, and world history, I'll say that, who talked about the struggle of our people, who talked about the Black liberation struggle in the most articulate way that few people have been able to follow up with. That brother was the Ta-Nehisi Coates of his day. And Coates actually models his writing style after Baldwin. So simply because Baldwin was a homosexual, that didn't mean that he can't have some kind of voice in our struggle. That doesn't mean that he shouldn't have any kind of role in the struggle. And the same is true for Black Lives Matter. Just because somebody is gay, that doesn't mean that they cannot be a part of our struggle. And, you know, they made this big deal about how Black Lives Matter is trying to queer the movement. Basically trying to say that Black Lives Matter is about promoting some secret hidden gay agenda. And all the woman was saying in the video clip that he showed was that there were gay people in the movement from the beginning. one of the organizers of the March on Washington was a homosexual. But she was talking about how they were forced to hide that aspect of who they are. And she wasn't just talking about gay people when she was talking about so quote unquote queer people. She was talking about immigrants. She was talking about formerly incarcerated people and other marginalized groups of black people. So that's that. As I said before, I'm not somebody that supports the homosexual lifestyle, but I don't support discrimination against gay people in terms of them having the right to be employed. I don't support people using slurs against gay people and attacking gay people physically and verbally. I think that people should be treated with dignity and respect. And what you have here is just a narrow-minded bigot who is simply dividing and conquering his own people in the name of being so-called pro-black. He's dividing the gay people from the straight people. He's dividing biracials from African Americans. And how does that advance us as a people? This is not some conspiracy. This guy talked about the rise of the mulatto, and he cited Dr. Clark, and he also cited Chancellor Williams, if I'm not mistaken, The Destruction of Black Civilization. And that's a powerful book by Chancellor Williams, The Destruction of Black Civilization, and I did a 3-part series on that book. There is a section in that book that deals with how mulattoes were used to conquer black civilizations. Both, how Arabs used mulattoes and also how white people used mulattoes to conquer to conquer Egypt. So yes, there is that history. But that history alone doesn't necessarily apply to this situation of a brother giving a speech at the BET Awards. This brother is not any kind of leader. He's just someone who has contributed to the struggle. He is someone who has spoken out against racism. He's not somebody maneuvering and conniving for leadership. And there's no proof whatsoever of some hidden hand manipulating the situation to put him in a position of power to lead black people astray. What you have here is people trying to attack this brother based on guilt by association. And that's a logical flaw. That's a fallacy to attack somebody based on that. And then, I want to go into this whole thing about this supposed conspiracy. This sister did a video, the Radical HomeGoddess, basically implying that Jesse Williams is a tool of white supremacy, that they put him in place so that he could lead black people to a dead end. This woman, the only evidence of this that she presents is nothing but pure speculation and conjecture. And as I said in a prior video, that's what many conspiracy theorists rely on. And to be clear, I'm not saying that there are no conspiracies. You have proof of conspiracies. Proof of how black people were infected with syphilis, the Tuskegee experiment, and you even have the counterintelligence program. A conspiracy that was documented when activists seized documents from the government that actually laid out the plan. So you had evidence in those two situations. So there are, in fact, conspiracies. But a conspiracy doesn't exist simply because somebody says that it exists. In order to prove a conspiracy, you need to have some kind of evidence. And the mere fact that Viacom owns BET is not sufficient evidence to prove that this brother was a tool of white supremacy. It's not sufficient. You can't jump from the mere fact that their BET is owned by Viacom to the conclusion that this brother is a tool to lead us astray. That's called a non sequitur. And, that's essentially what that argument is. Where somebody makes comments that do not logically follow from a premise or conclusion. And that's what you have here. Speculation and guilt by association. You're going to assume that this brother is suspicious because he supports Black Lives Matter, that raises a red flag in and of itself. Going to dismiss Black Lives Matter simply because some gay people are a part of it, and dismiss the good work that they have done with respect to police brutality, raising the conversation about police brutality. These people, in the name of being so pro-Black, they have essentially found themselves in the same camp with racists that attack Black Lives Matter, with racists who are attacking Jesse Williams, racists like Bill O'Reilly, racists like Sean Hannity, racists like that Tommy Lauren. They find themselves in that camp because they are doing the exact same thing by hating on Black Lives Matter and this brother Jesse Williams. There's no evidence that BET even knew what this brother was going to say when he got up to the mic. There's no evidence of that. If you could produce some evidence that they wrote his speech for him, that they told him, well, we need you to lead Black people astray. This sounds ridiculous when you think about it. Again, as I said before, these people have taken on conspiracy theories like the new religion. They believe in conspiracy theories to the same degree that uninformed children believe in the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, and the Easter Bunny. We need to unite as a people instead of dividing ourselves as a people. That's what counterintelligence was all about, dividing and conquering Black people, having them fighting each other, attacking each other when they shouldn't be. Nobody can refute what this brother Jesse Williams said in his speech. Even Irritated Genie acknowledged that. If you can attack the content of his speech, that's one thing. But for you to attack this brother who is simply speaking out against a problem that all of us face as a people, racism, police brutality, that's just fundamentally wrong. We need to unite. And speaking of suspicions, how is somebody going to wage some kind of war, some kind of racial war, be some kind of champion for race war, but yet at the same time, they work for the Department of Homeland Security? Where does that make any kind of sense? How does that make any kind of sense? If you want to look at something with suspicion, that would be something to look at with suspicion. So those are my comments on this issue, and hopefully this will be my last video on Jesse Williams. If people respond to this video and I feel the need to reply, I will do so. So please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.